Hi, I am Bouwer van der Eems from the Association for Homeschooling. After the meetings between Department of Education and homeschool representatives in October, it was the intention to have follow-up meetings in January 2015. After being postponed twice, the meeting finally happened on the 2nd and 3rd July 2015. In preparation for the meeting, the agenda was changed a few times and the association managed to get 90 minutes of the agenda for the screening of the first full-length documentary film on home education called Class Dismissed, and this video was received very positively. A video with Dr. Similani giving his impressions on that movie has been published on the SA Homeschoolers YouTube channel. This meeting was again experienced very positive by the representative. In this video you will see interviews with a number of people who attended the meeting at the Department of Basic Education in Pretoria.
Dr. Moses Similani, Director of Inclusive Education, Department of Basic Education, who also has in his directorate the Sub-Directorate of Home Education. Doctor, we have just completed 2 days of consultations on a revision of law and policy on home education, and that has been the second such meeting that the department, that your directorate has organized with home educators. What are your perspectives on the position where we are now in this process?
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Ostrom. It's the 2 consultation sessions, and especially the one that we've just concluded today, have given us as a Department of Basic Education a change in perspective in terms of our views and conceptualization of the phenomenon and the practice in home education. The engagement has actually brought forward quite a number of critical issues that we still need to thresh out and go through them with a fine comb in making sure that we arrive at a destination. The desired destination is to eventually have a policy that will be reflective of all the views of stakeholders that are doing home education, so that we get an overall buy-in from the community.
So you see this as an ongoing process that should not be rushed?
We cannot afford to rush a process like this. We need to tread very carefully. We need to invest time into the process because the outcome is going to be critically important. It's going to be very important. It should be something that is solid, well integrated, and has taken into account all the various views that are intended to strengthen the home education sector and the implementation of the policy as a department.
Well, you have certainly invested a lot of your time in this, and we thank you for that. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thanks to you, and thanks to everybody.
Hello, this is Victor Sabbe from the Cape Home Educators that's attending the meeting in Pretoria with the Department of Basic Education. Victor, I just want to ask you, how did you experience the meeting yesterday?
I think I experienced it in a very positive light. Both parties are willing to engage and engaging in a very diplomatic way. I think we're building on the first meeting we had last year, and I think we've got as homeschoolers we've got a better understanding of where the department sits with their responsibilities and their administrative responsibilities. And I think and very encouraging for the homeschoolers is that the department has made a massive paradigm shift, very big, and I think it's a historic occasion, and I think we can just move and build up from here.
Thank you. Leon Lowe, you are from the provincial department of the Western Cape. You have attended both sessions, the one in October and this session. I just would like to know what your experience has been on both sessions.
Thank you, Bauer. I just want to mention, I cannot speak on behalf of the province in that capacity. I must go back to get a mandate. But on a personal level, personal experience, working with home education for the past 7 years, it has opened my eyes. I'm responsible in the Western Cape for the processing of applications to submit it to my chief director for approval. We don't have a problem with the system. Yes, we know the policy, 99 policy, which according to a court ruling is not, cannot be enforced. Yet, every application that comes into our office, we have processed. And very seldom do we not approve an application. We have great respect for the home education system out there, for the associations, and I don't have a problem with a parent educating the child at home. The approval is given on the premise that it's the parent's responsibility. They must see to their child's upbringing, they must see to the assessment. And that will remain like that. All we want is that common ground. How do we manage this going forward? From an official from government that has a responsibility as the government, what is our responsibility? How can government plan years ahead if they do not know what is happening in education, in all aspects, in all fields, whether it's public schools, independent schools, home education? So what guides us to make that decisions? Hence, the need to know what is happening out there. Not to govern, not to police, but to have insight in what is happening. And that insight will direct us on how to develop policies, how to develop curriculums per se, that best suits the different areas of education. So that is my personal opinion in this regard, and aware that we need to have that discussions. We need to sit and deliberate on finding that common grounds and how we can accommodate each other in providing that assistance that the government can provide in ensuring every child do get quality education. And we are not disputing the right of the parent. You have the first right to determine that. And looking at our country, the majority of our parents will not have the capacity to home educate. What are we going to provide to assist them? If we open this up, what systems do we have in place? Currently, we battle with the infrastructure. But going ahead, that is what we need to discuss. What do we put in place to assist parents that want to do that, but do not have the means, do not have the resources? Hence, I know also the service providers play a huge role in this, through their expertise, through their guidance, through their monitoring, through their assessment. They play a huge role to make this a success. If that is the way forward, it can work. But we need to discuss and find that common ground, and then we will make a success.
Do you think this meeting, specifically the last meeting, managed to progress in terms of finding common ground?
I would say yes, to an extent. We have closed the gap. There is an understanding. For me, the most important part is that the home educators must not look at government as wanting to police. That we must clearly understand. It is a role of support. How can we support going forward? And yes, we've made huge steps. And now it's to sit around and look at the critical issues that was identified: registration, curriculum, assessment, monitoring? What is it? Is it necessary? If so, how, where, when, what? And that is the critical questions that must be within the next short period, as short as possible, be discussed, be resolved, and then take it from there. Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Miriam. So, Adriel Koen, you are a homeschooling learner that has completed your education through home education, and you've also represented an association during the discussions with the Department of Basic Education. What are your impressions? How did you find the discussions?
The discussions were very interesting. I have never been involved with government and that kind of situation, so this was really a very big learning opportunity for me. Being a homeschooled child, I also understand all the concerns they have, and I feel honored that they actually care so much about us as the learners. And I also understand both sides of the coin, having been in a school previously and then completed my education through homeschool. So it was a very, very good and very informative experience for me.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Hello, Shirley Ervia, you are a homeschooling parent and you attended these 2 days in discussions with the Department of Basic Education. I just would like to know, what are your impressions of how it went?
I think a lot of the officials present have had to make a huge mind shift about understanding education that operates outside of the school system, as have all parents who commence homeschooling. And I think they still have a long way to go in understanding that parents, well, some parents, want to maintain their freedom to choose the form of education for their children. However, as a parent, I've seen that they also have a sincere motive to ensure that all children are getting a quality education, and that none of them fall through the cracks, even though this seems to be a small percentage of the whole population. So they've been very positive about the feedback that they've got from the homeschool community, and this is not the end of the road. As they say, there's still a long way to go before they can find a policy that is suitable to everybody. An important thing that was mentioned is that they need to differentiate between the different forms of home education, because on the one end of the spectrum there's unschoolers, and on the other end of the spectrum there are parents who want to replicate the school system at home and be assessed and be monitored. And I think there needs to be different ways of dealing with those different categories of homeschooling.
Thank you. Now, during these 2 days, we also had the opportunity to show the movie Class Dismissed, the first documentary on home education, to all stakeholders at the meeting, including the Department of Education and the associations. What were your impressions of the movie?
I think it was very inspiring, and as I was watching it, I was really hoping that these government officials would see that there are much better alternatives to education that are far more up to date with the way the world is evolving than the traditional school system. And I was really hoping that they would be inspired to consider all the various options that could gradually be implemented into our South African educational system, whether it's in the formal sector or by encouraging that kind of innovation outside of the formal school system. And I really enjoyed the shots that showed the journey of one family, because it was so typical of many homeschoolers where they find that their children are not happy in school and the school is no longer meeting their needs, and then they make this big decision to take their children out, and then they wonder, what now? How are we going to do this? And they go through their fears of, are they doing the right thing? And then they try different forms of schooling until and it's a trial and error process. Many parents start off taking a formal structured program and using that in the home because it gives them security, and then they find that's also not working, and eventually by trial and error they have to create a customized education for their children, and I think the film showed that really well.
Thank you very much. although the meetings with a number of senior officials at the Department of Basic Education was experienced very positively, it does not mean that home education rights are acknowledged by all government officials. Parents were rudely awakened to this reality when it became known how a family in KwaZulu-Natal was devastated. They homeschooled their children for religious reasons. In April, a children's court ordered that 3 young children were removed from their parents and placed in the care of grandparents, where they are compelled to attend school. The only reason for removing the children from the parents was that the children didn't attend school. Parents are therefore encouraged to join the Pestalozzi Trust to ensure that government officials respect the right to home education.